Have you ever found yourself in a new environment, maybe a new school, a new job, or, a really tough academic program where you suddenly felt like you were just completely falling behind everyone else?
Oh, yeah. That is like the most universal, terrifying feeling.
Right. It really is. And that is exactly what we're going to explore today. Welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to extract the ultimate blueprint for long-term resilience, adaptability, and, well, sustained excellence.
Which is quite the mission, honestly.
It is, but we have a really fascinating document on the table today to help us do it. It's an essay titled, What a Boarder Can Learn from Kelly Slater, and it parallels the years-long, really grueling journey of living in a boarding school with the 30-year career of the greatest competitive surfer in history.
Yeah, and it establishes this incredible premise right from the start, that life, much like, boarding school or professional sports, is not a sprint. It's not just about immediate talent. It's really about the slow, invisible accumulation of capability.
Well, okay, let's unpack this, because we really need to look at the story of Robert Kelly Slater. So he was born February 11th, 1972, in Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Right, which is, Cocoa Beach is not exactly the glamorous epicenter of world surfing.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's a very blue-collar coastal town. His father actually owned a local bait and tackle shop. And the context of his childhood is just so crucial to this whole blueprint.
He really is the foundation.
Yeah, because his home life was highly turbulent. His parents divorced, and he had to navigate a really difficult period of instability and financial stress. So he was on a surfboard by age 5, but the ocean wasn't just a place to play for him. It became his anxiety-free, safe place.
Exactly. When your home life feels chaotic, you look for something you can control.
Right, and he controlled it incredibly well.
Yeah.
By age 10, he was already winning events. By 13, he had 2 pro contests under his belt and was literally cashing 4-figure prize checks.
At 13 years old, that's just wild.
It is. So usually when you hear these child prodigy stories, it's just this unbroken line of success, right? The golden child who just goes straight to the top. But when Slater turned full-time professional in 1990, his first season saw him rank 43rd in the world.
Which is a huge reality check.
And it gets worse. His second season, he dropped to a dismal 90th place.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a brutal drop.
It's the classic gifted kid shock. We see this all the time. You're the top of your class at home, you get to a competitive boarding school, and suddenly your first assessments are just an absolute disaster.
Oh, absolutely.
The temptation to just quit right there must be overwhelming. You've been told you're a genius your whole life, and suddenly you're ranked 90th.
And what's fascinating here is how he handled that exact moment. Because a poor result, especially early on, it only tells you where your development currently stands, right? It doesn't tell you where it ends.
Right, it's a snapshot, not a permanent label.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Slater didn't view that 90th rank as some final verdict on his potential. He didn't let it destroy his identity.
Which is probably why the resolution to this phase of his life is so triumphant. Because by his 3rd season on the tour in 1992, at just 20 years old, he became the youngest world champion in the sport's history.
Which is just an unbelievable turnaround. And for anyone listening who is, facing that initial shock of failure, the gap between your current performance and your potential, it isn't a source of shame. It's just the territory you have to cross.
That is such a good way to frame it. But, becoming champion wasn't the end of the story. It was just the first peak. He went on to win 5 consecutive world titles between 1994 and 1998. He fundamentally changed how the sport was surfed.
He was completely untouchable.
Right. And then, and this is the part that always gets me, he just walked away.
Yep. Just step back completely.
Why? Why would someone at the absolute height of their powers with no major injuries walk away from full-time competition just to, go make surf film?
Well, this is where the essay pulls out a really crucial boarding house lesson. It's the critical difference between rest and giving up, and between reflection and retreat.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So when you're constantly defending a title or maintaining a perfect GPA, the pressure pushes all the actual joy out to the margins. Slater essentially needed to reconnect with why he loved surfing in the first place. He had to escape that intense competitive pressure that was basically hollowing him out.
Oh, that makes so much sense. You see students burn out all the time because they forget why they even like learning.
Exactly. So he takes this pause, he rests.
And the comeback is legendary. He comes back to full-time competition in 2002 and finishes 9th.
Which, isn't first, but it's part of the process.
Right. He assessed the new landscape, he adapted, and in 2005 he won his 7th world title. and he eventually secured 11 titles in total.
11. That is just staggering dominance.
It really is. And get this, in 2011, at age 39, he became the oldest male world champion ever. Over his career, he amassed a record 56 championship tour victors, and he even won the 2025 Laureus Lifetime Achievement Award.
Well, and to win at 20, and then to win again at 39, you have to survive vastly different eras of a sport.
Oh, entirely different eras. By the 2000s, the whole sport had shifted. It was the era of this high-risk, high-reward aerial surfing. And it was being pioneered by kids who literally grew up with posters of Kelly Slater on their walls.
Right, the next generation was suddenly setting the rules.
Yeah, it's like realizing that the study habits that got you straight A's in year 9 are suddenly making you fail in year 12.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right, so you're faced with a choice. Do you stubbornly stick to your old tricks and complain about the system, or do you admit that you actually need to learn from the freshmen?
And most people's ego just won't let them do the latter. But Slater had this incredible humility. Instead of dismissing the new aerial style as like a gimmick, he studied it, he practiced it.
He let himself be a beginner again.
Yes, because true adaptability is the intelligent application of new learning. And because he was willing to adapt, at age 47, Slater became the oldest surfer to ever score a perfect 10-point ride.
A perfect 10 at 47 years old against guys half his age. That is insane.
It really is.
So what does this all mean? What actually fuels 3 decades of this kind of grueling, painful discipline?
Well, you have to look at the source of his discipline. His fitness, his nutrition, his obsessive wave reading. It wasn't built on external pressure. And it definitely wasn't built on a fear of failure.
Right, because fear runs out eventually.
Exactly. It was built on the fact that the ocean was his childhood safe place. When a journalist asked him later in life if he still found the same childhood pleasure in surfing, his answer was just yes, always.
Yes, always. I love that. And honestly, there is a massive difference between staying up late to study because a subject actually fascinates you versus cramming because you're terrified of failing.
Completely different energy.
Discipline driven by anxiety eventually runs out. It just fries your nervous system. But discipline driven by love, that is renewable.
That's the engine that keeps you going for 30 years.
But then, once you have completely conquered the existing landscape, you've won all the titles, you've adapted to all the eras, the only thing left to do is build a new one.
Which brings us to perhaps his most lasting legacy.
Yes, the Kelly Slater Surf Ranch. So in 2015, after 10 years of completely secret development, he just drops this video unveiling a machine-perfect, endless wave pool in Lemoore, California.
In the middle of nowhere, basically.
Right. Hundreds of miles from the ocean.
And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, he didn't just do this for a sponsor or for some quick cash. He saw a fundamental problem in his sport, which was the absolute unpredictability of natural waves during competitions. And he spent a decade solving it.
He literally engineered luck out of the equation.
He did. And he eventually sold a stake to the World Surf League, permanently changing how the sport operates.
And his impact didn't stop there. He co-founded the sustainable clothing company Outer Known. He served on the board of the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society.
Really putting his influence behind protecting the ocean.
Exactly. And he's also been a highly vocal advocate for suicide prevention after losing friends in the community. He took all his success and pointed it outwards.
And that is the ultimate lesson here, especially for a boarding house environment. At a certain point, the question has to shift from, what can I achieve to what can I contribute?
Moving from personal success to community impact.
Precisely. That is the mindset that enriches any community.
It really is. Just to sort of recap the monumental scale of his journey, there's this quote in the essay from fellow world champion Sean Thompson. He said, "No sportsman in the world anywhere has for so many years been so far ahead of his peers."
It's a powerful statement.
But the thing is, talent only opens the door. The rest of that 30-year gap was consistency, adaptation, and profound humility.
Absolutely. And the author of the essay delivers this final, really empowering metaphor for the listener. You will have bad results. You will have terms that feel exactly like ranking 90th in the world. But stay in the water. Keep reading the waves.
Stay in the water. That is brilliant. And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today, building directly on that idea of the surf ranch.
Oh, I like where this is going.
We spend so much of our lives waiting for the perfect wave to come along, right? The perfect opportunity, the perfect moment to start a project, or the perfect environment to succeed in. But think about Slater. spending 10 years in the Californian desert secretly building his own wave.
Wow, yeah.
If the conditions in your life right now are unpredictable or they're actively working against you, instead of just waiting around for the ocean to cooperate, what is the wave you need to start building for yourself?